And he didn't think that I was going to rob the students of their lunch money or not show up or come in late. He trusted that I was living a better life. And that's a gift of my recovery. A gift of my recovery, the gifts of recovery are endless. I got in a healthy relationship, and then, I moved out of my parents' house, and I was able to get full custody of my daughter. And I have to say that, and because I'm in Lebanon, I'm just going to give a shout out. Usually Bunks and Davis Law Office, my lawyer, his name's David Warner, and he's a saint. Because that man was with me when I first came into his office, trying to not let my parents take custody of my daughter. And that man continued to stay with me. And he stayed with me through my process. And he started to trust me through my process. And our first meeting, I'll never forget, he said, I'm gonna represent you, but I can tell you that my experience with mothers who use, they don't get their kids back. But I'm gonna represent you, and I'm gonna support you as long as you're doing what you need to. And he stayed with me. And what really beautiful thing happened is, I got full custody of my daughter back, and he was there. And I got married in recovery and had this beautiful recovery wedding that I was like, people were really excited. I was getting married. I was living this beautiful life. And after I got married, we went back to that great man, and he was there when my husband adopted my daughter. And he cried at our adoption hearing, and he said, Samantha, thank you. And I go, oh my God, why? Thank you. And he said, thank you for showing me what happens in recovery. And thank you for continuing to allow me to be on your journey. And, I can tell you that a lot of things have happened over these years that have nothing to do with me. It's God's grace and the people around me that continue to support me, and my family never giving up on me, and just giving me every opportunity and chance I can to succeed. Being there for my kids, babysitting, and showing up when I feel like I might lose my mind, because having children's hard. If you have some, And, most recently, I went to see my cardiologist, and she works for a bigger hospital organization, so I didn't have any expectation that she was going to remember me from, when things were really bad. And in January 2011, she was there. Well, I think that was more like November 2010. She was there when I was put on life support. In fact, she was the one that explained everything to my mother. And in January 2010, I had open heart surgery at the age of 22. And I had a tricuspid valve repair. And my cardiologist was with me for all that. And I go every couple of years to get checkups, and I hadn't seen her for about 4 years. I was late on my checkup, so I went back. And she said, oh my gosh, I was so excited when I saw your name today on my appointments. And I was like, well, I'm really excited you just remember who I am. You know how it is. Doctors have a lot of clients. And she said, what have you been doing the last 4 years? She said, how's the baby? I said, the baby's almost 7. And she said, what else have you done in the last 4 years since I've seen you? And I said, I got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I got married to a man who doesn't abuse me in any manner. And I've mended all my relationships. I've successfully paid my bills. I have a beautiful home I live in. I said I have my graduate degree with honors, and I'm a part of a National Honor Society. And I have a son that I got to have in recovery. And I have this beautiful family and all this beautiful stuff that surrounds me. And she started to cry. And I was like, and then I'm crying. I'm like, why are you crying? And she's like, you know that I'll never forget you. And I said, why? And she said, I will never forget telling your mom and dad that we had to put you on the we had to intubate you. And I will never forget trying to explain to them that we were going to do whatever we could and that we were going to hope you're going to be okay. And then she said, I'll never forget when you woke up and you thought they threw away your blankie. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember that. And she's like, I remember that because you were so sick. And she's like, we all talked about it in the hospital, how it was a miracle that you survived. And I said, how's my the bigger cardiologist guy? I said, how's he doing? He said, oh, he retired. And I said, oh, well, if you see him in any, little meetings, dinners they have, can you tell him that I'm okay? And can you tell him that the ripple effect of him repairing my heart, regardless of being a drug addict, has had an impact on thousands of lives. And that, that day really hit me hard because I began to think about my life and the ripple effect. And I began to think about the results of just me, one person, getting clean and staying in active recovery one day at a time. And I thought about all the clients that I had when I worked in an inpatient treatment facility. And I thought about all the ones that come back or reach out to me and say, thank you so much for just telling me the truth and being honest with me, because I credit you for the reason I'm not dead today, or the reason I didn't leave AFA. And I think about, the people I've had the privilege to know in a 12-step fellowship and the ripple effect of that. When I got my bachelor's degree, I was in adult learner classes. And I was in some classes with some adults that had no idea about substance abuse. And when we did open discussion, I was horrified and offended about the opinions they had and the knowledge they had about this disease. And so I made the decision to self-disclose. And I made the decision in all those classes after to let them know what recovery really was, what the disease does to somebody, and that we're not bad people. We just are sick people and we need help. And through that has been a beautiful experience. My college professor from my bachelor's degree has me come back and speak in his undergrad classes to educate people that are coming into law enforcement or coming into any type of the criminal justice realm of things, what this disease is about and what it does, and more importantly to me, what happens when they access treatment and enter recovery. And he called me the one day and he said, I have this really cool opportunity I'm thinking about and you might be interested. And I said, what is it? And he said, I really want you to come out and speak at the Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association. And I said, sure. Whatever I got to do, I'll be there. And I came and was able to talk to some people some who had a great understanding, some who did not. And as a result of that, he called me again in a couple weeks and he said, hey, I have this other opportunity you might be interested in. And I said, okay, what is it? And he said, I need and want you to build a little training about the disease, about your story, and about how people may be able to better approach and understand, people they're encountering on the street with substance use disorder, their family members that may be suffering, or their employees. And I want to try to get it approved for you to do these trainings for the Pennsylvania Department of Probation, Parole, and Corrections. And I had to really contain myself not to cry to this man, because I said, I remembered sitting in an outpatient years ago, and the guy asked, are you in school? And I said, yeah, I'm a criminal justice major. And that ill-informed man told me, you should probably just give up going to school. Because if your dream is to do probation or parole, you will not get that job, and no one's going to hire you with a criminal record. And I remember being devastated. And that's not my life today. And maybe I'm not a probation officer, but I'm going to get to do something. I'm going to get to spread some awareness and spread some hope. And that really is my life's passion and journey today, is that I just don't want people to die. If I can help one person get into treatment, I think sometimes we discredit ourselves as people in recovery and we think we're not really helping anybody, we're not that important. But let me tell you something, each and every single person in recovery, or those fighting to be in recovery, you're a miracle and you're worth something. Because I'm telling you, the ripple effect of what you can do, not just in Lebanon County and in this community if you're from here, but far beyond, is you can help one other person. If you encourage one person not to use one day at a time, think about the families that you're helping. Think about the mom and dad that can sleep through the night not worrying that their kid's going to die on the street. Think about the grandma that's not worrying if, her grandson's going to come rob her house and she has to lock her doors. Think about that probation officer that doesn't need to keep giving that client more time or mandating them to jail or treatment because they're staying clean. The ripple effect of one person can be beautiful. And that's really what my life's about today. Whether it's, seeing a mom at the supermarket who has all of her children with her and she's really stressed out, and I go up to her and I say, you're doing a great job and you're a great mom, even if it's just that small. is today I'm an active member of society. You know, today my message is hope and my promise is freedom. That I am free today. And just for today, there are no limits to what I can do. You know, if I want to go back to law, if I want to go to law school, I'm going to do it. If I want to go get a PhD, guess what? I'm going to rack up some student loans and I'm going to do it. Because in recovery, I can do anything, you know? And so I just want to, again, thank everybody for being here. This is what we need, is to just continue to advocate for recovery, you know, changing our lives, living another way, and going to treatment. Because I'm telling you that I am proof that treatment works and recovery is possible. So thank you for being here. I always end with this quote: day by day, nothing changes, but when I look back, everything's different. Thanks for letting me share.
I just want to thank the Lebanon County Drug and Alcohol Commissioner for sponsoring this event. The last event that I was at, he had stated that if we can save one life, it's worth all that what we do. I also want to thank him for giving harm reduction permission to put on this event.
So good to see you.
And thank you. It's raining now. It lasted till now.